Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this Stranger Things themed cake. This video is a collaboration with Rosie over at Rosie's Dessert Spot. I will have her video linked down below and be sure to check that out and subscribe once you're done watching this one. I'm starting out with my cakes already iced and covered in fondant. If you need to see how to do that, then I will link those videos below. I've got 3 different shades of blue here, those will be listed below, and a sponge that I've snipped the top of so it's going to be textured when I press it against the cake. Starting with the darkest color, I'm dabbing that all over my cake, and then going in with the second darkest shade and finally the lightest shade. I took some white food coloring on the end of a fluffy brush, and I'm just kind of pulling it back with my fingers so I get a nice white splatter all over the surface of my fondant. When I was done, I added the top tier and it looked like this. Again, if you need to see how to stack a cake, I will have that video linked below. To start on my decorations, I'm rolling out some white fondant and I have this template that I made of 11, and I'm going to be cutting that out using my X-Acto knife. For the Demogorgon, I have some gray fondant and this template of the head that I made, so I'm cutting that out, but I'm just leaving a little bit more of a border around the template than the actual size of my template. I have some darker red fondant here, and I'm cutting out a circle, and then using a smaller piping tip, I'm cutting out the center of that so I have this ring. With more of that dark red fondant, I'm cutting out the Demogorgon head again, this time keeping the X-Acto knife right up against my template. Moving back to the gray base, I have the ring in the center there. I attached it with a little bit of water, and I'm placing the red cutout of that template right over top, just making sure that I'm placing it down so there's going to be a little bit of a gray border going around it, and just tucking it into the center and around that ring. I'm using 2 balling tools to go around that ring and just give it a little more shape. I accidentally dipped a little bit of white food coloring gel in there. Totally fine, I'll fix that up later. So this is just going to allow me to get a little more dimension so it's not perfectly round. I'm going into the middle of each of his flappy mouth things and just creating a concave shape. I want this to dry, but I don't want it to dry flat, so I'm putting it into this flower former, and I'm just going to leave it until it's solid. Once it was set up, I added a ball of gray fondant onto the back and let that dry, and this is just going to allow me to attach the head to the body. I have some black color dust on a fluffy brush, and I'm going into the center and the center of each one of the weird mouth flappy things. To get some teeth going on, I have some more of that white food coloring gel on the tip of a fine tip paintbrush, and I'm just adding these little lines all over. You want to make them different sizes. They can go in different directions. They have a ton of teeth, so you can't really go wrong here. For the body, I have a ball of gray fondant that I'm rolling out into this oblong-y type shape, and I'm just going to pull out one end so it's tapered for the neck. I put the head up to it just to make sure that it's going to be the right size, and then cut off the bottom with a knife. Going in with my fondant tool, I'm marking in all the lines for his chest and weird stomach. He basically just has texture all over his body, and I will link the picture that I used as a reference below. Also, please excuse my nails. I've been so much better with using gloves lately, but this time I totally burned myself and didn't use gloves when I was making my fondant and dyeing it. So that's just food coloring. I'm not dirty, I swear. For each of the arms, I'm rolling out this really long rope of fondant, just keeping one end with like a little bit of a ball on the end of it. And then I'm going to flatten that against my work surface, and that's going to be the hand. I cut off the very end and then sliced in the fingers, and then using my fingers, I'm just shaping the ends so they're a little more pointed. I bent the arm about halfway up for a little elbow and then made 2 of these. I almost forgot to texture each of the arms like I did the body, and I just did a bunch of lines running up and down. With some black color dust and a fluffy brush, I'm just going over the whole body and the arms, making any of the deeper grooves darker. I added the body to the top of my cake and then secured the arms on either side with a little bit of water. I ran a piece of spaghetti in the center of my body and made sure there was a little bit left over so I could stick the head on there. For the light strings going around the cake, I started off with some black food coloring gel on a fine tip paintbrush, and I'm just marking out a rough guide for myself, just 3 lines on the very front of the cake. For the letters, I just wanted to place them down, so again, not too worried about making them perfect the first go, and once I had them all there, I went back in and made them more bold and a little more spooky looking. For each of the lights, I mixed whatever color I was using with a little bit of white food coloring and then added a little blobby above each letter, just alternating the colors. Once that dried, I took the back of a paintbrush and dipped it in a little bit of just straight white food coloring and added that right into the center. And once this dries, it's going to take on a little bit of whatever color I used, so it won't look so stark white, and it's going to look more like a light shining. I added 11 to the front of my cake and just attached her with a little bit of shortening. For each of my pumpkins, I have a ball of orange fondant, and using my fondant tool, I'm just marking in some lines going right up to the top. I used my balling tool to indent the center, and then with a little piece of brown fondant, I'm adding the stem and just using my fondant tool to kind of blend it into the pumpkin a little more. To make each pumpkin look a little more rotten and grungy, I have some more of that black color dust, and I'm going over the whole thing and then going in with that sponge with a little bit of the blue still on it and just dabbing that over it. I rolled out long snakies of dark brown fondant, and I'm just curling that down to come from the pumpkins down around 11. The waffles were one of my favorite part of Stranger Things, so I wanted to make a couple just to add on the bottom. You don't have to do this. I have some waffle colored fondant, and I have this little square. You can use anything that's square, and I'm just indenting it into the fondant. And once I have a big enough surface, I'm just cutting that out using a circle cutter. And this was a final result, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Rosie's video. It will be linked below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for new videos every week.